And he pulled! And he pulled! And he pulled! Help!
Diesel is one of the first antagonist-like characters that the Railway series would introduce. He's often rude, boastful, and kind of arrogant, but was never a character who I saw as a villain necessarily. Just like the other characters, in his own ways, flawed. He would first appear in the book Duck and the Diesel Engine, published in 1958, and his last Railway series appearance would come in Thomas and the Evil Diesel, published in 1987. And in every portrayal of Diesel, he's based on the BR Class 08. As you could have guessed, his TV series model followed this as well, being almost completely custom built with the Perspex body shell, and used a Markland locomotive as a donor for the chassis and various other parts. He was painted using glossy car body paint, and his wheels and toolboxes would be sourced from the Gauge 1 locomotive made by Markland, the BR80. His buffer beam and step ladders, however, would come from the DHG 500, with his coupling chain being made by Tin Mile. His eye mechanism had two servos, one for up and down movement and one for left and right movement, and because Diesel had outside frames and cranks, his model sometimes had his rods jammed whether he was stationary or moving. His counterweights aren't actually in sync with his side rod's position, and at some point, though I'm not sure when, Diesel's glossy paint was replaced with a matte finish, which is what you're seeing here in these Season 12 ruler pictures, so definitely sometime before then.
You stupid!
Diesel would have 16 different facial expressions sculpted for him, but only 15 were ever used on screen, with one of his tired faces being left completely unused. The faces would first be sculpted in clay, and from that resin casts were made using a silicone mold, and one of Diesel's screen-used and production-made faces are now owned by Twitter users Thomas Tank Merch and Tom's Props, with Diesel's TV series model now on display at the Explore the Rails exhibition, being previously on display at the British Museum during the 70th anniversary. During Thomas and the Magic Railroad, Dodge would reuse Diesel's chassis, but unfortunately the history of Diesel's model kind of ends there. He never had a close-up or larger model built, but what is interesting is that before the show actually transitioned to CGI, a virtual model of Diesel was made for the CGI test of Thomas and the Stinky Cheese, meaning Diesel was one of the first characters to have a CGI model made. The testing model's face, which you're seeing now, was actually reused on one of the mainland Diesels during the Great Race, so none of the original model went to waste. The history of the physical model ends there, however, as in 2009, when the show would introduce CGI as a whole, his original model was only used for reference, and his new CGI model would be quote-unquote hand-sculpted in Maya, a 3D animation and modeling software. Diesel has went through some minor aesthetic modifications throughout the CGI series, but as a whole has stuck true to the original, which isn't very hard, he's just a black 08, but arguably has drastically changed as a character. And after my videos concerning Diesel 10, I'm sure you're expecting me to say that I'm not a fan of this, but you'd be wrong. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I've always seen Diesel as a flawed character, rather than just an outright bad guy. And towards the end of the CGI series, this was made extremely apparent. Through most of the series, yeah, he's kind of a jerk, and especially made out to be. I mean, in Disappearing Diesels, he literally spends the day making Paxton think that they're all just gone. So yeah, he's still been pretty devious, kind of a dick too. But going back to the later episodes is shown to want to change that, and reconsiders his devious ways, learning to accept not just diesel engines but steam engines too. We got a sort of redemption arc for Diesel, where over time he turns from the maniacal character that we all knew into a real friend for the other engines. Trust me, it shocks them too. And though I'm a classic series guy over anything, I have to give the respect where respect is due. And while I find it hard to respect everything that the CGI series has done, it was great to see more become of a character that I've loved since I was a child, and really felt like the perfect way to wrap up this character's story. Thank you again to everyone who voted in the last poll, choosing Diesel to be the next episode for this series. And if you guys have any more ideas, be sure to let me know down in the comments below. I've been doing a poll every week asking who you guys want to see for that week's episode, so be sure to keep your eyes open for those if you guys want to see a certain character. And if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe, as it lets me and YouTube know that you did. As always, thank you guys again for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one.